The process of finding suppliers, of reviewing their documentation, which may include qualifications and certificates of insurance, is time-consuming. It is inefficient for both the supplier and the buyer. It may involve scanning and sending through forms, and the email dialogue is time-consuming. If the post is used, it takes longer. The Proactis Supplier OnBoarding Portal is there to remove these inefficiencies, to reduce the risk when signing up new suppliers, and to make for a more elegant and smoother process. This video podcast provides a short introduction. So how does the portal work, this supplier onboarding process? Well, we have our buyer, and they're responsible for finding people who can do ships maintenance. And in this example, we'll assume that they need a qualified electrician. And the electrician must provide evidence of relevant qualifications. So we have our electrician who wants gainful employment, and they have the experience to work on ships. Their qualifications are up to date. Not only do they need to work with the buyer, but also to provide the organisation's finance department with the relevant information so that they can get paid as and when the work is done. Now for the finance department, they want to know, who is this person? What is their name, their address, telephone number, VAT number and bank details, so they can find out how to pay them. Now let's look at the typical process. So here we have our buyer, and he'll telephone and perhaps write to our supplier, in this instance the electrician, and say, send me details of your qualifications, your experience and your certificates. These are then emailed, perhaps put in the post and sent back to the buyer. And the buyer has a look at them and approves them. Then the buyer will say to finance, we've got this new person, I want you to take them on as a supplier in the finance system. So finance then writes to the individual, in this case again our electrician, and says, fill in this form. They fill in the form, put it back in the post or email it back to finance, who will then set that individual up on the finance system. It's quite a paper chase here. So what are the difficulties? Well, internal processes are often bypassed. And because there's a lack of audit trail, it's difficult to prove that due diligence has been undertaken. These are paper-based activities. It makes them time-consuming and prone to error. And of course, there's less opportunity then for the buyer to undertake supply reviews. And it makes for poor communication. It's difficult for suppliers, buyers and finance to make sure that all these things are lined up correctly. So, how do we overcome these inefficiencies? Well, an option is to use a portal based on the internet. Our buyers will log into the portal, put in details of the suppliers that they're looking for, identify the qualification criteria, and as suppliers enter their information, go through an electronic approval process. The suppliers on the other side say, yes, we want to trade with you. They can upload their information, do some self-management of their details, upload qualifications and insurance certificates, and run account inquiries to see, for example, when their invoices have been paid or are going to be paid. And finally, for finance, they want to have good supplier record maintenance. They can download the details without the need to rekey, and by uploading payment information, reduce the number of calls coming into finance about when invoices will be paid. It is an efficient and effective communication mechanism and a good document distribution process. So what's in it for our supplier? Well, it's free registration. There can be no charge for this for them. They can manage their own information, remove the paper flow. There's a simple user interface. And because of the way it's designed, there's no training required. So what's in it for the buyer? Well, it gives them a trading hub that they can use for all types of suppliers, to receive requests for trade, to approve and score suppliers. And from that, they can then invite new suppliers efficiently to come and work with them. It significantly improves the communication process and the management and tracking of documentation and information that is required to make sure that you trade correctly. My name's John Chapman. I thank you for watching this. Goodbye.